Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, hi everyone. I'll talk slowly. I've only got one experience this year. It happened Tuesday night. Basically, yeah, I went to bed. And in my experience, I was driving a car. I don't know what brand of car it was, what make a car it was, but I was on this. I wasn't on my own in the car, but I don't know who I was with. I was with somebody, but I ain't got a clue. I was just on this road, this winding road, and there wasn't no landscape because it was just dark. It wasn't lit up or anything. It wasn't like at the side of the road. There was no lights, just obviously the car's lights. And I had to. It was like on the road. It was different speeds. Like 1 minute it'd be 30 mile an hour, then it'd be 60 mile an hour, and then you go onto another stretch of road and it'd be 40. But like, excuse me, the impression that I got was like, well, if I break the limit, something really bad's going to happen. So I just continued along this road for as long as it took, and that was it. And it was just like, I think the lowest speed was like 15 mile an hour, something like that. I was going, and then it'd go up drastically to like 90 mile an hour or something like that. And I'd keep going through these different speed limits, always like a bit wary, like, oh, if I don't get caught speeding or something, because obviously you got to build your speed up to when you're going from like 15, and then the next one to 9S. So like, I was thinking I was like kind of para in the dream. And then when I made it, it was like the person who was with me said like, oh, well, this is the last bit of the road now, and just be very careful. So basically I was as careful as I could, and then just as I was coming up to the end of the speed limit, I like tanked it as fast as I could through it, and then I just smashed through the speed limit, and then that was it. That was the end of the experience. That was the end of the dream, and I woke up the next morning. Yeah, and that was it, Dwayne. Thank you.
That was it, Mr. Pearce. Yes, thank you. So you were doing your driving test, it sounds like.
Yeah, some kind of test.
And you had the instructor there too. And so again, yes, you were doing your driving test. So like we do in high school, yeah. Yeah, those are fun. But what are speed limits? Okay, they're restrictions, right? It's saying it's posted, the posted speed. That's the idea. Okay, 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. You're not to go beyond that. Okay, but that's yeah. Okay, so we see that, and so most people, they will continue to do that because we all become, in a way, rule lovers to the system. The system tells us what to do, and we become rule lovers, like, oh, we can't do that, we can't speed. We even feel guilty, even if we don't get caught. Oh, gee, I went 45 miles an hour in a 40 today. It's like, oh, I gotta slow down, etc. But it's giving you, yes, you adjust things accordingly, with the environment. It makes sense. But at the same time, you have the right to just punch it and go. The interesting thing is, let's say that let's say the speed limit is 40 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you're going 50 miles an hour, and then a policeman's behind you with his lights going off. But then you got a fast car, and you punch it, and you go 200 miles an hour. Okay, all of a sudden, you're gone. He can't catch you, right? It's kind of like the dark brats here. In other words, you go so fast they can't catch you. So you're on the real side. So there's really no speed limits, is there? It's a setup, isn't it? And those are things it's showing you the restrictions, but at the same time, the real you decides that you can do what you want. So you always have that option. You always have that option, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it was like
you can outrun them. Go ahead. Yeah.
That was it. I was just because it was like the end level, or the end not level, the end bit of driving. It was like, you've got to do it, but like I didn't. You've got to do it at a certain speed, but I didn't. I just towed it. I just got my foot down and smashed through it all the way to the end. and that was it. But it was only from the start of like I come into the last bit, and he says, "Yeah, you got to slow down now. It's like 40 or something." And then, but it's the last stretch of road. So, but as soon as he told me that, I just gunned it. I just went, tanked it, and blasted through it. So that's basically, that's what it is.
Yeah. So in other words, yes, you as we go through this, it's like a road trip. As we go through this, and we've experienced all these restrictions, okay? And at a certain point, we say, you know what? I've had enough. I don't care what the speed limit is. I'm going as fast as I want. You see, and that's about your real awareness. You want to just get beyond all the restrictions. So there's many ways to look at it, but it's using that idea also, and it just depends upon the person. So anybody can have an experience like that, and they can wake up and go, oh, gee, I was going the speed limit and all these things. I'm a good person. I was doing it. But at the very end, I punched it. And gee, I normally don't do that. Why would I do that? See, they'll question themselves. But that's the real person inside wanting to break away from all the restrictions. But the personal side has got to see that and have something to compare to, like their real awareness. And if they don't, well, they're just wondering why. Gee, why did I do that? But you know why you did that now, you see? You know why.
Okay then. All right. Thanks very much. And that's it. I ain't got any more to share. So back to you, Kevin. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Pearce.
Thank you, Dwayne.
All right then. I have a few dreams to share. Let me turn this fan off. Okay. This dream would start with great floods sweeping across the world. Very apocalyptic in its overtones indeed. Reports flooding in of this worldwide catastrophic happening and occurrence. I was with a group, and we seemed relatively secure and safe from the disaster, for we seemed to have our very own island. Even so, we experienced a degree of flooding, but nothing to build a Noah's Ark over. In the aftermath now, and I'm uncertain as to the fate of the world, all communications, as you might imagine, were down. I took a little philander, wandering about the island, and I saw a succession of individuals walking in single file across the edge of the island, keeping themselves separate from my group, and seemingly wanting to remain unnoticed. Curiously of all, they appeared to be dog-like creatures, anthropomorphic bipedal canines, and all with backpacks strapped on. Naturally, I simply had to investigate. Fascinated am I with all beings alien and unique. They were very reluctant to engage, keeping their heads down. Not to be discouraged, I persisted, and one of their number broke away from the file and accompanied me to another part of the island. He insisted we remain concealed, and so we hid behind a large rock formation, with others of his number acting as lookouts. Through our dialogue, it transpired that all these dog-like beings were in fact Native American Indians, and they had a tendency, it seemed, to adopt guises of this kind, because they were getting regularly pestered and interfered with on the real side if they were in their Native American Indian forms. So they had adopted this tactic to prevent recognition. He told me many things. Alas, I could not bring much of it to the physical, but it all went in somewhere, my real self knows. The one thing I did recollect was that he explained to me that many of the alternative media conspiratorial-orientated individuals, the David Ikes of this world, etc., were deceptors, untrustworthy, and con men. So a confirmation then. He gave me a few names too, a few other prominent researchers and information providers. In the interests of tact, I won't divulge them here. So I would assume this to be a heads-up dream of upcoming disasters and upheavals due to the continued demise of the planet, a direct result of all the cause and effect constriction of awareness through choices, decisions en masse, the subconscious programming of humanity to this end, and the inevitable consequence as creation continues to spiral into blackness. The island may well represent safe haven for those who have connected to their real awareness and embracing their process of recognizing the all is and standing real with the universal guides and all life. I've had a few dreams of this type, where the Nufriends, those who are becoming more aware, choosing to no longer contribute to the destruction of the planet by retracting their agreement to it, and with their intent to supersede it all, and not be the effect of their unawareness, and subjected to literalized constricting programming any longer. These individuals are kept safe from what everyone else who decides to remain with their personal created selves only will experience through cause and effect. It was fascinating about what I discovered with the Native American Indians, that in this dream they were on our island too, or at least some of them, though removed from our main group and wanting to remain isolated, and that they had the ability to shapeshift their forms for the purposes of concealment. Suggests some of them, too, may be on their process of becoming more aware, but perhaps not yet to the degree that the main group on the island were, but enough that they were safe too. And again, that one individual enforced what Dwayne has told us about these conspiracy theorists and alternative researchers, that they are simply peddling information, and the knowledge alone has nothing to do with the real awareness. Indeed, the information alone will only have people restricted in creation, as they latch onto the information as ideas and believe they are then safe and secure. But the information they won't take with them when they pass over, and when they learn of the reptilians, they will be noticed by them and become the subject of more attacks and tap lines. And through the emotional responses to the knowledge, more restriction through cause and effect emotional outpourings. The controllers don't mind if the slaves learn of their deeds. It just garners their attention, gets them more restricted and destined to remain in creation, because it's all about awareness, and the likes of David Icke and the others provide information but deliver nothing in regards to the is, the taplining, or the guides. They are, in fact, setting people up for future lifetimes and are effectively working for the controllers, and indeed are very likely to be reptilian as a result, and they may not even be aware of this if their focus is mainly in their physical, astral, personal selves. And that's the end of that one. Sorry for rambling on so much.
That is another movie by Kevin. That's a scary movie, Kevin. Thank you.
Okay then. Let me extract dream number 2 from my file. In this dream, I was initially with Lindsay, my sister, and her husband John. Lindsay forever fluctuating between interest and dismissal of anything I suggest, real related on the real side. On this occasion, I was bombarding them both with information about the clear and present danger of the 5G and all it entails. I gave quite the rambling speech. Pity they weren't in the slightest bit interested. Then I was in my place of work suddenly, and having a tough day. My emotional vehicle fully activated, as I did froth and seethe. Then an individual appeared. On the physical level, he is in fact my next-door neighbour, and his name is George. He revealed himself in my dream for who he actually is. Rather interesting, as I was reading New Book 8 recently, with all the individuals that reside in the oceans of the earth, unbeknownst to the vast majority, the various merfolk, etc. Well, my next-door neighbour, George, it transpired, turned out to be one of these sea-dwelling individuals, apparently one of high rank and standing, though assuming a human form at this time. I switched from my personal, emotionally engaged, due to my work, self, to my real awareness, and received confirmations from lots of sea creatures the world over, as they did communicate with me, as though we were all on a long-distance telepathic call. George has lived in his house on the physical all his life, was there before we arrived, when I was a mere 5-year-old, and it was explained to me how he is a kind of guardian of some description, watching over me, Peter and Gwen, in a protective capacity, perhaps more so on the real side. So we have people being revealed for who they actually are. For the real side lays bare everything, those of a sincere nature and character, and the opposite, the deceptors and dark agents, masquerading as associates and friends. It's very apparent then that individuals have been stationed from both sides, the dark forces planting their people to cause disruption, distraction, and through agreement to their supposed friendships, tap linings, and on the other side, the ears has positioned individuals close at hand with certain positions, qualities, and awareness as protectors. It's conceivable none of the individuals, be they ill-intended or pure, may know that's what they are, if they haven't connected with their awareness, but may well be carrying out their respective activities on the real side, the personal self, then oblivious. Seems on the real side, unaware people are incapable of concealing who they really are, as you need awareness to first recognize the real side and the life levels beyond the physical, and to then regulate your behavior if you wish to conceal your true intentions. But as you become more aware, you tend to lean more toward purity, sincerity, and real intent. You could obfuscate yourself with your awareness, but with no agenda to hide on the real side, there would be no need to do so. Either way, the real side reveals all. This is the first time I've been made aware of who George actually is. So it will be interesting to see how this develops as the players begin to make themselves known. That ends that dream.
Another amazing movie, Kevin. Thank you so much. It's all self-explanatory, and you depict it very, very well. Thank you. That's great. Thank you.